Well, hello friends, Fujosevich here. Welcome back to some Hearthstone. As we are now playing, it is no longer Shaman Stone that we are used to. It is now the Paladin Stone, as everyone and their cousin is really, I guess, at these ranks, it feels like everyone's basically cued into the what's going on with the meta reports. And the meta reports right now are saying that we're going to go ahead and just trade this off because it doesn't matter because we have a whole bunch of small minions coming out. Meta reports are saying that these mid-range paladins, these Murloc mid-range paladins, and decks like that are basically the most powerful decks in the game. And because of that, they've become very, very increasingly popular, which is reasonable. And understandable, I should say. And one of the things that I think can still beat those decks is Elemental Shaman. And so that's why we've decided to take this deck out, or I should say continue to take this deck out for a spin. And we have added a Hungry Crab in place of the Galactic Crawler, as I haven't seen many warriors, or at least pirate warriors I should say. And because of that, I think Hungry Crab is going to serve us a little bit better. That's kind of a scary play from our opponent. Now we do have 4 damage, 5, 6 into 7 damage. Let's see if we can set this up somehow and kill the silver hand. This will be 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1 trades there. So I think that's going to be the play so we don't completely lose our board. We are obviously trading in here first. We get 1 more Jade, that's good. So we're playing against what I'm expecting to be a very control-styled Paladin, which is reasonable, and obviously they're going to have the Elemental tech. We have seen Firefly, Flame Elemental, but then the Doomsayer is telling me that it's going to be very, very control-heavy. This is very okay for me. I really don't mind this card. Having our opponent get another taunt isn't that scary at this point where we have control of the early game. The issue is that we don't have a lot of the great minions to transition through our mid-game, really, or even good cards. Let's say a Jade Lightning right now would be great. Obviously, if we find an Aya Blackpaw, that's going to be one of our most powerful top decks, I would say. This is okay. I'm kind of tempted to hold off on it, just because it doesn't really do much for us right now. We continue to trade off here. Yeah, there's no way I want to throw the Tar Creeper out. I'd rather hold on to our resources. Opponent has a really big hand and 1 discovered card, which could just be a second Tyrion, which is always just really hard to deal with. Sunwalker is also kind of hard for us to deal with, but I think we're going to punch through reasonably well. It's just going to be a deciding factor of how do we want to do this. I guess we lose the Healing Totem. That's fine, and I'll use Face to get rid of the rest. And I will hero power every single time here, and then we get to punch face just a little bit. And then the question is, how much do we want to commit to board onto turn 7? I'm tempted to throw down one of these extra elementals, and if anything else, just to help activate Blazecaller for next turn, in the event that we top deck it. And I'm kind of okay with that. And I'll do it this way just so we can collapse outwards, or inwards I should say, towards the Flame Tongue. And I guess in the event that we top deck a Bloodlust, this is probably lethal. Curator is also kind of good for us to kill right now. This is 3 and now this is 6, so we punch in and they get a whole bunch more face damage. Our opponent has a huge hand, so that's just terrifying. I don't want to play Blazecaller now. Our opponent's going to have a lot of removal resources. At least I expect they will, I should say, I guess. Would be more accurate right now. Do we need to play anything else if we have Bloodlust? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15... a whole bunch more. I'm going to do this is simply so that we can Blazecaller next turn. And maybe there is no need for Blazecaller. Ooh, maybe there's a bit of a need for a Squelch. Oh. This is now okay because and we can't punch through directly at least. We can go 5 and 4. That's going to be 9. So that's pretty good, and I kind of love Alakir with this matchup, and then it does keep the elemental direct damage, but let's see if there's anything else. 5 plus 4, 9 punches through nicely. We're only getting 3 through to face. This way we get a whole bunch more to face, and then we have a whole bunch more direct damage that we can do. which I really like at this point in the game if our opponent's just playing like this this reactively and this defensively. So our opponent's forced to remove Alec here, or do some other form of removal, obviously. Stampeding Kodo gets rid of the buff, but unless there's some sort of taunt or something else, Alec here is still going to end up winning. And that's obviously not going to be enough for us, but now this is 5, 6, 7, 8, and now we still have our lethal set up. And so this is a pretty good win. We're going to give Alec here, obviously, the final blow. This was a pretty good win against not the style of Paladin deck that I was expecting and have been seeing actually quite a bit of, but still a good deck to run into and a really good curve actually. Well, not the best curve for us, but we're able to find a way to make it work. Okay, so we have run into a Hunter, which I think is a slightly favored, I'll call it 60-40 favored matchup for the deck that we're playing right now. We do have a Hex for if and when we run into Savannah Highmane. We had an unfortunate Crackling Razor Maw running into our early Jade Claws, but that's okay for us, I think. We'll just go ahead and weapon down the 3-2. And then we will play out our Hungry Crab. This was obviously, I think I just mentioned this in the earlier video, but obviously this is teched in for all those pesky Murloc Paladins and everyone else running the Murlocs as well. It's super powerful if you get that buff, obviously. This is now kind of an okay board for us to be playing our Hot Spring Guardian, healing us back up nicely. We're going to be able to curve out even nicer on turn 4. And then we, of course, have our Lightning Storm for if and when our opponent goes a little bit wide on us. Because right now we're going to hopefully be able to get this attack in. Oh, and we are not going to get any sort of attack like that in. But that's okay. Well, hopefully, actually, let's be honest here. This is hopefully going to be okay. Because there could potentially be an issue with our opponent, and yeah, we do it this way every time. Our opponent could actually now use the board to trade in. And then they could get some sort of Houndmaster shenanigans going on to really cause us problems. But because hopefully next turn we will be able to Tar Creeper Hero Power, I'm hoping that having these hexes won't be too bad in the long run, because we'll be able to hit a Savannah Highmane. These cards have been in our opponent's hand for a little while now. So that's telling us maybe they are... Wait, was that... Oh, I was hoping the Jeweled Macaw came from this Jeweled Macaw, which would actually be kind of good for us. We're hoping nothing crazy comes out here, obviously. Oh, whoa, that's definitely not the best beast for our opponent. Now our opponent has the option of how they want to trade off into this Divine Shield, and they've opted to not do anything. Wow. Okay, so now we actually have options. We could probably just clear the board with this, couldn't we? This is a guaranteed board clear, and I think that might be really good. So next turn we'll be down 2, so we'll only have 4 of 6. But if our opponent just drops a Savannah Highmane on an empty board, that's really not that sad for us, because then we just hex it and we're off to the races. So we'll go this way. We don't really care what we get. And we kill the Megasaur every time, clearing our opponent's board, knowing that if our opponent does play something big, we simply hex it and let our opponent play again. And if they have, for some reason, let's say 2 Savannah Highmanes in hand, that doesn't matter, because then we'll hex it and play something big ourselves. Wow, that is awful for us. What a good card. What a super cool tech. That is not a card that you expect to be seeing very often now, is it? That's, oh wow. Black Knight. Super value. Super value in this meta. Definitely this is a Hunter that's teching to beat those Pirate Warriors. That's not worth a hex to me. I'll go Tar Creeper right now. It still would force both attacks in here, whereas if we play the Hot Spring Guardian, sure, we get the heals, but that's less important right now, at least, when our opponent still has quite a few resources, let's say, in hand. One of these is a discovered from the Jeweled Macaw. We don't, yeah, one of these. Oh, that's potentially terrifying. Oh no, that's also terrifying. Okay. Less terrifying now, because this can only grow once. Ooh, this is still actually going to put us in a potentially awful situation. So even, let's say, if we top deck Blaze Caller. Oh, that's a pretty good top deck. Yeah, I think this is pretty reasonable. We get rid of the massively you know, snowballing style of card, and we still set us up. We still have our hexes. Obviously, we didn't want to hex anything there, and we still have our healing and our Jade Lightning to help us stabilize a little. And our opponent's board can't just trade off easily. I don't think that was an easy necessarily trade. That was, you know, half of the Houndmaster. That's fine. Our opponent's face takes a little bit of damage. Now maybe we're looking at, we might have wanted to have hexed this earlier. That's okay though. I think we'll be alright. I definitely like the idea of trading this off. And then I love the idea of healing here. Obviously this is an awful trade for us, in the sense that Black Knight can just continue to attack. And, you know, Black Knight basically trades with our entire board now, which is awful, right? We hate that. But, you know, this makes us feel a little bit better in the sense that we're able to hex this down. And, oh, and Maelstrom Portal is going to help actually a lot. The issue is, can we do this all? 5, 8, 9, 10. No, we cannot. So how do we want to do this? We will attack in here. No, we're going to discover first. Let's see what we discover first, because let's not be silly. Because we need to make sure we get that discover off. This is how we're going to win the long game. Okay, we're going to take the Blaze Caller. And we are going to... the issue is that's a free trade, so we'll go here. We'll go face. And now we're going to hex. And now we'll say go. So if our opponent does just take the free trade, which we're kind of encouraging in this situation, Maelstrom Portal is really, really good. And then we still have the hex for that eventual and inevitable second Savannah Highmane, which we know is always coming, because it's always coming whenever you play Hunter. Because that's obviously, you know, it's one of those, it's, you know, 6 mana, 6/5, summon 2 2/2s. That's then what, 10? That's 6 mana, 10/9. Pretty good, I guess. This is still, you know, not the best thing for us, obviously. But it's also really not the worst. After this minion attacks a hero, adapt. That's also not the best, let's be honest. How are we going to do this? We're going to go ahead and get rid of the 4/3 just in the event that there are any return mechanics. I'm less worried about that. We'll go do this. And we'll attack into this 3/2 because we don't want any silly adapting going on. And now we're basically off to the races. And I think we can be okay. Opponents obviously just going face here because that's how they're going to be able to win. And then I think if we get any sort of a reasonable... I think I have to do this trade, or do we hex it? Actually, you know what? I think we do it like this and trade off the ones. And then we'll punch in a whole bunch of face damage. And basically, we're just hoping that it's not a kill command with a beast. And even then, that's not enough, because that's only 5 plus 2 is going to be 7. Uh-oh. Oh, that's fine. Now that's a well played. And that was really scary. Tundra Rhino is one of those great, excellent Hunter cards, but that's totally okay. Okay, that's going to be it for this video. Just 2 short games for today. Hope everyone's still having fun with Ungoro, trying to climb up the ladder a little bit. I know we're still going to try and push for Legend. I don't think it's going to happen. Life is getting in the way of life, and that's totally fine. But we're going to have a whole lot of fun trying to push here with a very minimal number of games that we have left with our free time this season. I hope you're all having a great time. If you're enjoying these, feel free to hit that subscribe button and join us for the rest of our journey. I'll see you next time. Keep your stick on the ice.